Compulsive sexual behavior disorder is characterized by a persistent pattern of failure to control impulses or urges, which results in repetitive sexual behaviors. And we'll get to the criteria, but before we go into that, let's clarify what CSBD is not. I'm Aaron Lawrence, I'm a therapist, and I'm a part of Perch Therapy and Mediation. We're a neurodiversity affirming practice, and we support people through relationships, we support people through eating disorders, and we also support people who are struggling with compulsive sexual behavior disorder. And I hope there's something in our content that resonates with you. Just because you express your sexuality or you enjoy receiving pleasure in a way that's not mainstream, or a way that's frowned upon by your community, by your partner, by your family, by your culture or religion, that doesn't necessarily mean you have a disorder. Some examples of that would be if you watch porn, that doesn't necessarily mean you have a disorder. If you are a sex worker or you visit sex workers, doesn't mean you have a disorder. If you have a high sex drive, doesn't mean you have a disorder. If you have a kink or a fetish, doesn't mean you have a disorder. If you've had an affair, that also doesn't mean that you have a disorder. If you're struggling with anything mentioned, as we'll get to at the end, we can support you with those. But to have compulsive sexual behavior disorder, there's some specific criteria that you have to meet. So let's take a look at some of those. The essential required features for compulsive sexual behavior disorder are as follows. As mentioned, a persistent pattern of failure to control intense repetitive sexual impulses or urges, resulting in repetitive sexual behavior manifested in one or more of the following. And I'll try and paraphrase these a little. One of those is engaging in repetitive sexual behavior to the point where it becomes the main focus of your life at the expense of other parts of your life. For example, neglecting your health, your personal care, or other interests, activities, and responsibilities. Another is that you've made numerous unsuccessful attempts to control or significantly reduce the sexual behavior. Another is that you continue to engage in it despite adverse consequences. For example, if it's having a negative impact on your marriage or your finances, or maybe it's having legal consequences for you, or even your health. Another is that you continue to engage even when you derive little or no satisfaction from it. Now, this one's a little more tricky because as Silva Neves, who's a prominent figure in the field, he doesn't say it in these words, but basically, who doesn't get satisfaction from sex? So if you do fit that, it's going to be, you'd be one of very few who could fit that criteria. Another is the pattern of failure to control intense repetitive sexual impulses or urges. These can't be as a result of they can't be as a result of other disorders, and they also can't be as a result of medication, because some medications can change our sexual behavior. Another is that the pattern of repetitive sexual behavior that has been out of control has to be present for 6 months or more. Another, there's a lot of these. Another is that the repetitive sexual behavior must result in marked distress or significant impairment to your personal life, your family, social, educational, occupational, or other important areas of functioning. Distress that is entirely related to moral judgments and disapproval about sexual impulses, urges, or behaviors is not sufficient to meet this requirement. I think that's important to say. There's some additional clinical features, but if you're interested in finding out more about compulsive sexual behavior disorder or CSBD, you can always check out the ICD-11 online. You just have to type in ICD-11 CSBD and it will come up with everything. If you are struggling in this area, you're definitely not alone, and we can help you. Even if you're a partner of someone struggling in this area and you've had to go through the trauma of that initial response, we can support you, whether that's individually or together. We'll do an initial assessment, we'll put together a treatment plan. So if you would just like to make sense of all of this and figure out a way forward, you can always reach us via our website, which is perchtherapy.co.uk. You can send us an email, you can give us a call, you can DM us, whether that's on social media or otherwise. Feel free to reach out.